Welcome back, everybody. It's the beginning of a new year. It's a beginning of 2023. I took a little bit of time off just at the beginning, but I am back and back on my usual kind of MO on these Fridays, finding things to react to that I'm sure you guys will enjoy. So here we are. This week, we are looking at one of my favorite websites. We all know it. It's the ProgArchives. And one of the things that I really do like to do is kind of go through and kind of see where all of the albums of the previous year land. Now, I do know that there's usually a big dump of records right at the end of the year, usually the ones that came out fairly regularly, and it kind of like boosts the algorithm a little bit. So just going to see where we're at here. Going to see how many I know. Going to see what's all going on in that sense. Going to get a little bit comfortable here. And just kind of react to it, you know? So this is all top albums, all subgenres, all record types, 2022, all countries. So I am going to just filter it a little bit so that it is just the studio recordings, but everything else is the same. All subgenres, all countries. The year is 2022, and I'm going to submit. We're going to find out what we got here. All right, now unfortunately, we're going to kind of go backwards. Most of the time I start from the bottom and work my way up. We're going to start from the top and work our way down. Just keep things interesting. And these first three I have not heard before. Looks like that first one here. I'm just going to scroll up so you can see. Electric Prog. I do not know of Infinitum, I think it is. Yeah, Beyond the Veil. Don't know that one. Don't know the second one of Return to Arda from Dave Bronze. And then finally, the last one that we got to see was Greco Bastan, I think. Rock in Opposition or Avant-Garde with a little help from my friends. Interesting. Now, this first one I do remember talking about in a couple weeks ago. My friend Scott from the Prog Corner was talking about this record, Collage from Over and Out. Neo-Prog. I've had a listen to it. I'm thinking about doing a quick review of it. But yeah, it sounds pretty good. I liked it. Then we've got Apocalypse Now, which again I haven't heard. Let's scoot down a little bit. Deadliest. It was fine. It was okay. The first one that I can actually, subscribe to. The first one I can actually say, yeah, of course. Hellfire from Black Midi. Absolutely. Good to see that it's so high up here. Getting a lot of praise in the prog community, and loving the fact that it's getting so much recognition. Loving that. Then we've got the Big Train, Welcome to the Planet. It was fine. It was fine. As a swan song to David Lungden. It was a very good album. But yeah, it was okay. Now this is another one. Conundrum by Verbal Delirium was one that I've heard a lot about, and I can't remember if I've given this one a spin or not. I probably should. Good to see Ben Craven on here, Monsters from the Id. Great stuff. 2 tracks, both at about 19-20 minutes. Great stuff. Yeah, I can endorse that. My favorite King Gizzard album of the year, Changes. Glad to see that this is on here. You don't really see King Giz too much on the Prog Archives, but glad to see that they're on here. Okay, the next couple I'm not too sure of. I'm not familiar with that one. This one. Oh, Klaus Schultz. Okay. Now, I wonder if this is a posthumous album, because I do know that he passed away earlier, I believe. I'm pretty sure. Next up, we have another album that's been making a lot of rounds, Black Country New Road. Interesting that this is in post-rock math rock, and the other one that's very similar to it that's getting the same kind of recognition, Hellfire, is in rock in opposition avant-garde prog. So interesting just to see the kind of comparison between the two, because I always figure that, Black Country New Road and Black Midi are very similar in kind of like, where they are in their lives, the current state of music. But glad to see that they're both on here, even though that this one's considered post-rock math rock. I almost want to set up another whole category for these kind of artists, which are like, kind of like indie prog or something along those lines. Anyway, Coming into one of my favorite neo-prog albums of the year, Time Machine. Good to see that one on here. Really liked it from Comedy of Errors. Bubble Math, Turf Ascension. This was a great record. One that I actually picked up in physical format. Really, really good stuff. One that came in pretty late in the year, Innate Passage. Really good to see this one from Elder. Great, great stuff. Probably as I was mentioning in my kind of like my roundup from albums, the best record that Motorcycle put out this year. Okay, Compassionizer, I'm not too familiar with that one. The Last Great Adventure from Galahad, it was fine. A good serviceable Galahad record. I liked it more than their last one. John Holden, I'm not familiar with this one. A lot of people really, really love this one from Return to the Earth, Fall of the Watcher. I don't know, it didn't quite hit me as hard as it was hitting everybody else, but I'm glad to see that it found an audience. Speaking of Motorcycle, there's their Ancient Astronauts. I like this one more than I liked, Kingdom of Oblivion, but I still think that they have a long way to go before they get back to that peak that was the All Is One. Just such a great work. The Von Hertzen brothers. This one made my second favorite album of the year, so glad to see that this one's on here. Really, really good stuff. I might actually have to get the record of that, but like every time I find it, it's like $80. I'm like, that's a little bit much. Not familiar with this one. I'm not familiar with this one. I've heard very, very good things about this one. And I keep trying to listen to it, but I keep getting distracted. So maybe sometime this weekend, I'll put some time aside and actually dive into it. Okay, so there's Born from Birth. And again, it was fine. It wasn't my favorite, but it was all right. Carfagan, good to see these guys back on here. It's interesting. Every once in a while, I keep forgetting that this and Anthony Kalugian put out albums because they just they're so prolific that I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot that they put out an album this year. A Godzilla, I'm not familiar with this one, but hey, anything called Godzilla, I'm here for. Ram from Tangerine Dream. This was a great record, a really, really great record from Tangerine Dream. Yeah, absolutely. That one deserves to be on this list for sure. Don't know that one. I don't know that one. It's interesting. Out of all of the top records or top albums of 2022, I like going through this one because I know almost half, if not more, of the records on here. Like The Theory of Molecular Inheritance from Arena. I really enjoyed this one. I think this is one of Arena's best works probably since Immortal, maybe. We'll see. I really enjoyed it. It's very dense. It's one of their more dense ones. Not familiar with that guy. Not familiar with that guy. Not familiar. Although I have seen The Power of Three. I have seen this one, but I'm not familiar with that one. Some good Banco. This was a great record, and I'm not a big fan of Banco, but yeah, this one was great. I had a great time with this one. Another one from T. I don't know, man. I used to really like T, but this one just, I don't know. It didn't quite hit me. I just felt like it was treading water the entire time. It was fine, but I don't know. Nothing to write home about. I don't know that one. The Threshold album was good. Really liked the Threshold album. That was good. Not sure about that one. I'm surprised that this album isn't higher up on the list. I know a lot of people in the prog sphere really, really like this record, and a lot of people even outside the prog sphere was really getting on this album. So I'm surprised it's at number 44. But I do know that, the first month of the new year, these will, they'll kind of fluctuate, but then finally settle at probably around March or April. So maybe I'll see where things lie at that point. All right, let's see here. I don't know that one. Don't know that one. Don't know that one. Now we're getting into some more of those obscure ones that I'm not too familiar with. Although that one looks fun. All the Pretty Days by Friend. Interesting. Okay. Now, I know a lot of people really, really like this one. Jonas Lindberg and the Other Side, Miles from Nowhere. I know, didn't really connect with me, but I know a lot of people that this one definitely connected with. So, I'm hoping that, maybe with a little bit of time, this will start connecting with me. But as it stands now, I wasn't all that excited for it. But we're at number 50, so we're about halfway there. Let's see here. Vision, I'm not too familiar with. Blind Guardian, I've heard of, but I didn't actually dive into this one. Dreadnought, yeah. Okay, there's my number one album of the year. There's Toe Hider. I have little to no memories of these memories. Yeah, absolutely. This was the only record that got my masterpiece status of the year. You know, I was wondering if 2022 would be a year without a masterpiece, but this one received the masterpiece status. So, yeah, another King Giz. Glad to see another King Giz on here. This one was okay. I think I actually prefer Laminated Denim, but you know, it's fine. This one's okay. As I mentioned, it's okay. Scissor Games, yep, from Ghost of the Machine. This was a great breakout album. Really love their first track off of this album. I just wish that the rest of the album had a little bit more, but I am very excited to see what Ghost of the Machine does in the future. Okay, Birth Control I'm not too familiar with. I'm not too familiar with that one. Not too familiar with that one. Okay, Songs from the Hard Shoulder. It was fine. You know, it's with Tangent, it's either like really, really, really good, or it's just kind of eh. And I found like this one was kind of like on the better side of the eh kind of ratio. But yeah, I don't know. This one, I'm glad to see that so many people are really liking this one, but I don't know. I wasn't a huge fan of it. Oceans of Slumber, I was a little disappointed, honestly, with this one, but it was still fun. It was still a good time. What else we have? Glass Hammer. I never got around to this one, unfortunately. Maybe I'll actually get around to it eventually, but yeah. Okay, Charlie Griffith. Good to see Tickle. So I've been told that it's pronounced Tictalica because it's supposed to rhyme with Metallica. So it's Tictalica. But yeah, great stuff on this one. I think my third favorite record of the year. This was an album that just kept giving back. You know, the more I listened to it, the more I loved it. If you haven't heard it by now, you have to listen to it. Okay, Elements from Manticore. I didn't get into that one. Didn't get into that one. So Parisia from Animals as Leaders, I actually really dug. I really enjoyed this one. Probably like one of my favorite Animals as Leaders records. Loved what they were doing with this one. So good. I really enjoyed it. Green Asphalt, I'm not too familiar with. Road to Planet Cirrus. Okay. Tales of Imagery Motions. Wow, I'm surprised that this one is so far down. Closure continuation from Porcupine Tree. I know a lot of people love this record. I didn't. I think it's one of their weaker ones. It felt like a contractual obligation more than anything else, which I thought was a little sad, seeing as how collaborative this record was. And maybe that was part of the reason why it didn't quite work for me, because it didn't have that very crystal clear or maybe not crystal clear, because I mean every concept album that Porcupine Tree writes kind of loses the through line halfway through, but it didn't have that unified feel that all the other Porcupine Tree albums have. That one just kind of felt, I don't know, like a mixed grab bag, you know. Haven of Echoes, this was a great record that came out late in the year. I really enjoyed that one. Profusion of Thought, I'm not too familiar with. Aristocrats, I really enjoyed this one. So apparently I've been corrected, and this is actually a reworking of a lot of their older material with a full orchestra. And I had a great time with this one. I really enjoyed this one. Moonlighters, Thank You from the Future. This was a great record. If you haven't heard it by now, please do. It was probably my favorite retro prog album of the whole year. Really great stuff. Really good times. I highly recommend going and checking it out. Nathan, I don't know that one. The Spaghetti Epic. I mean, that sounds pretty fun. Samurai of Prague. Oh, of course, it's from the Samurai of Prague. They're pretty intense. Worm, I'm not too familiar with. Oh, Vortex. This was one of the, Derek really knocked it out of the park with this one. Love this one, especially after, I wouldn't necessarily say the letdown that was Phoenix, but Vortex was great. Highly recommend this one. Go and check it out if you haven't already. Yep, okay. Oh, Lalu. This was a great record. I keep forgetting that this one came out this year. Really, really good stuff. I had a great time with this one. Only passing through pattern seeking animals. Yeah, this was fine. It didn't make quite as big of a splash as I was hoping for, but I find with pattern seeking animals, it's kind of a flash in the pan for me. I listened to it a couple of times and then that's kind of it. But yeah, it was good. It was good. Oh, the Murder Wall. I know Scott from the Prog Corner loves this record. I need to actually dive in a little bit and actually revisit it. Flower Kings by Royal Decree, probably the best of their post-hiatus records. Again, Waiting for Miracles for me is probably their my least favorite record from all of Flower Kings. Islands was fine. But this one's probably the best of all those. They still really need to work on that song structure and that composition. I feel like that's what's really lacking within these later year Flower Kings records. Yeah. Okay, let's see. You're still there. I don't know that one. Don't know that one. Don't know that one. Oh yeah, the Evership, the Uncrowned King Act 2. This was fine. Not as good as the first one. I really, really love that first one. But this one, it was a good attempt. They kept the tracks a little bit more punchy, but for me, it didn't quite work. But yeah, good to see that people enjoyed it here. All right, last 10. Let's see if there's anything I know. Don't know those guys. Don't know that guy. I mean, I'm loving these album covers. These look so good. Another Samurai of a Prog. Again, these guys are extremely prolific. Okay, Coheed and Cambria. A Window of the Waking Mind. I enjoyed this one. I like this one a lot more than the Unheavenly Creatures. Just those last handful of tracks. Just so good. Like Cut the Cord, Rise... oh shoot, I've already forgot it. Is it Rise Natalia or something like that? Really love those ones. Probably some of my favorite Coheed and Cambria tracks since God's Apollo. Okay, don't know that one. Coming into the last few. What are we gonna have? Oh, finally! I was afraid that Rio wouldn't be on here. Yeah, Rio Wakamoto, The Myth of the Monsterfuss. Love this one. Probably the best Spock's Beard album that we've gotten from any Spock's Beard member since probably Brief Nocturnes. Loved this record. Loved it. And finally, we have one that I don't know. Okay, so 100. This was a great lineup. It will be good to kind of check back again, probably in like April or May, just to kind of see where the dust settles, because you can already start to see some of this dust starting to settle in this case. But great stuff on here. I think just for padding, I want to go through and I want to kind of rejig this, and I want to do like every 10 years. So go back to 2013, go back to 2003, go back to 1993, go back to 1983, and go back to 1973, just to see like where the albums are in each decade of like what was the best record of that decade and kind of go through there. I think that might be fun. I might do that in the future. But for now, that's all I've got for you guys today. I'm going to end it there before this gets too long. I want to thank everybody for watching. I want to thank everybody for subscribing, for liking, for sharing. And yeah, let's have a good, fun 2023. I hope that this will be a good year for everybody. That's what I've got. So thank you all so much for watching. As always, you guys are definitely the best. And until next time, notes out.